All right, guys, here we are. So now that we know what a resume is and how effective it can be to land us that interview and potentially that job, in this particular section, we're going to be going through some of the basic steps and a few awesome tips to writing an effective resume. Well, let's get to it. All right, so first things first, contact information. Now, this is a very, very important part of your resume because without this information, it'll be hard to reach out to you or be in contact for that interview, which could potentially lead you to that job that you want, right? So it's definitely important that your information is clear and that it is correct so that you can get that call. All right, so in terms of placement of your contact information, I know that some people may like to have theirs or do have theirs in the top left corner of their page or maybe the top right corner. I personally like to have it right in the middle there, and so that's how I'm going to be displaying it today with you. And very, very simple and easy. You've got, the top part there is your name, so make sure that your first and last name is on there, and just below it, you've got more information regarding your email address. And just below your email address is your street address, city, province, state, postal code, zip code, all that information there, which is definitely important. And then below that is your phone number so that you can get that contact. So very, very simple and easy. This is pretty much the layout that I like to have, and it's right there, very clean, very good. And in the next slide here, I'm just going to show you an example of what it looks like. And as you can see here, we've got John Simmons, and this is just an example of what his contact information section of the resume looks like, just to kind of give you an illustration. Okay. Now we're moving on to the employment history, volunteer, work placement. And so as you see here, this is the part where you basically showcase some of the work that you've done previously, and as well as some of the key responsibilities of the job that you've had. And sometimes you may have maybe just one, sometimes you may have multiple, as you see here. But this is also very clean and cut as well. So at the top, just at the header there, bolded also all in capital letters is the work experience. So just about right there. That's how I like to have it. It's a really nice, clean format. And then underneath, you've got that little line, that line that goes across that just gives it a nice, cool look. And so just underneath, as you see there, where it's the company name. So that's basically where you will have your company name of the job that you're working at. And then underneath that, obviously here, you've got the title. And with the title, beside it, you have the city, province, or state. That's how I like to have it there. And it looks very, very, very good. And then obviously, if you look at the right side of that section, you've got the dates or the month and year of when you started, as well as the month and year of when you ended that job, or present if you are still currently working there. In terms of placements of work, I typically like to have the most recent job at the top, or the job that you are currently still working at, and then the ones below are going to be jobs that you've had before that. So it can be a few months before, a year before, or however long before. That way you've got that current, present information right at the top there. And in terms of the dates, I like to have that in italics. It just gives it a nice, a little nice look there on the right side. So very, very cool. And last thing as well is the bullet points. So as you can see here, in this section right here, you've got the bullet points where you can add a bit of a summary of the key responsibilities that you've had in that job. And that's where you would list them. It could be 1, 2, 3, multiple, and you just kind of list them on there. Okay, and then the next slide here, I'll just show you an example of what that looks like. And so as you can see here, work experience for John Simmons. So he worked at electronics. He was a sales associate. There's the date of where he started, and looks like he's still currently working there. And just underneath are some of the key responsibilities and roles that he has in that job. And just below that, it looks like he also did some volunteer work, which follows the same pattern as the top. And so, you know, if you keep that, it looks great. Very clean, very precise, and that's what we want. All right. So now we're going into the education qualification. And so in this sector here, this is where you get to showcase your education, school that you've done, and just kind of gives the company just an idea of what your interests are or what you're studying, and possibly what your career paths and goals are for the future, either with them or wherever it leads you to. And so here, again, you're following the same pattern. So you got the education sector here, or header, that is bolded and all in caps as well. And just below that, you also have the school. So that's where you're going to have listing of your school. Now, if you're still in high school, or even if you've graduated from high school, you can have that information there. It's nice to have there, just kind of show that you graduated, you're done, you got your diploma, and so there you would have the school of the name of the school, the city, province, state, and again following the same pattern. You've got when you started on the months here of when you started and when you ended, and if you're still currently there. So there you go. And then just below, if you've been, enrolled into university or college, there, same pattern. You would just kind of write down your degree, major, and also GPA scores, awards, honors, and stuff like that. So very, very nice and clean as well. It's kind of keeping that tradition of what we were seeing previous. All right, and this is just an example here in my next slide on what that looks like. All right, so here you can see in John's resume, you got the education header right there, and just below that you've got the high school that he graduated from, which was Eastwood High, and that was in 2016, and that's when he got his diploma. Then below that he was enrolled in university, so in Southfield University, and there just below that, you can see in the bullet points, you have listed what he's actually studying there. So he's doing his Bachelor's of Science in Accounting. Doesn't have any scores yet for GPA, or just because he's just started his first semester. And as you can tell there, January through May of 2016, right here in the date section there. So just a semester, so just starting. And then below that, obviously, you've got a list of the things that he is studying in that field. So very easy, very clean, very clear as well. And right on, we'll go on into the next part. Right on, so now we're going on to the skills section of the resume, skills and strengths, or what I like to call technical skills. And so this is a pretty awesome part of the resume. It allows you to basically open up on some of the strengths and skills that you've learned or that have carried over through your experience, either in work or volunteer or wherever it may be, that you feel will greatly benefit the company that you're applying for, as it's something that they will be looking at because, of course, they're looking for somebody to join their team, and your whole purpose here is with this resume is to market yourself and to show them your value and that you can bring something to their company, to their team. And this is a great section here where you can actually showcase some of the things that you're good at, that you can bring to the job. And so the next section here just illustrates an example in John's resume of what that looks like when it's all done and filled out. So as you can see here, we've got the technical skills, And below there are the bullet points of some of the things that John is good at, and some of these things maybe you have on yours or that you're really good at, anything from Photoshop to, Microsoft Word, Excel, maybe you're a social media kind of guy. Hey, languages, maybe if you speak more than one language, that could be a great benefit to the company. All right, so this is where you kind of add those things that you're good at, those skills and strengths. All right. So this sector here is the reference. This here is something that's more optional. References are very important to have with you, but it doesn't necessarily have to be on the resume. I've been in interviews where, I go in there and at the end of the interview, I'm asked, hey, do you have any references that we can contact? And I'll be like, yeah, sure. Pull up my phone, give out some references, and there you go. And so at times they'll ask you if they need it during the interview. You don't necessarily have to showcase it on your resume, but do be prepared to have a few references with you when they ask or when they request it. And make sure as well that those references are good references, because you want to be able to have people that you trust and that you've either worked with or know and they know you, that can definitely help you in getting that job. And also a little tidbit is that if you're going to be referring somebody to the employer or to the company upon request, just make sure that you let that individual or those individuals know. In fact, you can even ask them if you can use them as reference to add them there, so they don't get a random call saying, hey, we're here calling about so and so, and then they're like, oh, I didn't know about that. It's just a show of respect. But yeah, absolutely. References, again, it's optional. You don't have to have it on there. I usually don't have it on there, but I do have the references with me in case they do ask. Right on. So here is an example of basically John's resume as followed through from the things that we just talked about, from the work experience to education, and you also have the technical skills and all the little bits and pieces in between, as mentioned before. So in the end, when you have everything there, oh, and I also forgot the contact information, can't forget about that. Once you've got everything set up and filled in with your proper information, this is what it should look like. And this is something that's very basic, it's clear cut, but it's very easy to read and easy to understand, and it's something that you can definitely start with. For many of you young men and women out there who are just looking at your first job or looking at applying at somewhere, hey, something like this is very, very good. At least it is a good start in my books. All right, so there are some things that you can add to your resume, especially those who have been around the block when it comes to looking for work or having past jobs and writing many resumes and tailoring them to other positions. There are some cool things that you can add to your resume to spice it up a little bit. One of these things is, an opening statement or a professional summary, as you see located here, okay? And basically what that is, it's a spot that you can, a section that you can add into your resume that allows you to pretty much add an opening of statement that mentions your experience, education, and requirements for the job that you're applying for. It's like a little bio of who you are and why you're interested in that job. It's very, very cool. It allows you to, in a sense, tailor that description or that statement to that job, and so that will change here and there depending on what work you apply for. But again, keeping the same tradition, you've got the bolded professional summary sector here, all in capital lettering, and of course down in that section here, boom, boom, that's where you write down that statement. All right, and so here's an example on the next slide of what that looks like when filled in. So as you can see here, John has got his professional summary right there, and this is essentially what it looks like, all in that sector here. And so as you read through, you can see that it kind of showcases some of the things that he's done and what his intentions are and what he can bring to the company. Awesome, awesome. Okay. All right, so another thing that I'd like to mention that will really differentiate yourself from other applicants is adding accomplishments to your resume. And here we're going to be looking at the section here under the work experience. So as you can see, obviously, you know, a sales associate, that is the current position of John. And underneath, you've got the bullet points of all the roles and responsibilities that he has. But just below that, you've got accomplishments. And these accomplishments are great to have on your resume. It's something that I don't see a lot of people do, but it definitely adds value to the resume, and it adds value to you as well. So here is where you can actually add achievements that highlights what you've contributed to the employer that you either are currently work with or that you've worked with before. Obviously, there are some things that you've done that are awesome, that maybe that you've even gone above and beyond, and that's where you can actually showcase them and put them in right below in that section, just as I have it right here. And so in that, you would also have them in bullet points as well to kind of keep it in that clean manner, in that same kind of tradition that we had with the previous slides. And so in here you can change it up. I've got a check, a bullet point there, but whatever you'd like, you know, do what you like, what you want to do. But essentially, this is great because it allows you to showcase some of those things that you've done that went above and beyond the responsibilities that you were given. And to the eyes of, you know, those who are looking to hire you, it is awesome. It looks good. It's something that definitely adds value, as I mentioned before. If you look down in the volunteer section here, same thing. John volunteered at the retirement home, and guess what? Well, he also has accomplishments that he's achieved there as well. And again, down into that sector, just below it, you've got the bullet points of those accomplishments and achievements that you can add. And so right in the next slide here, I'll show you an example of what that looks like. All right, so there you are. So here you've got the accomplishment sections that are found right there and right there as well. So one underneath the job that he's currently working at, and the other one was the volunteer work that he was at before, and then he was able to list down there some of the accomplishments that he has done, as well as at the top here, as I'm going to highlight there, for the job that he's currently at. And so that's essentially what it will look like, and it kind of showcases, you know, some of the things that he's done, some of the skills set that he has achieved and that he has developed as well. It looks really, really good. All right. All right, so here is the final showing here of what your resume will look like by adding those two additional things that we just talked about, which was the professional summary and accomplishments as well. So just a quick rundown, just at the top here, obviously we have contact information for John right in the center, so that's where you will have your own contact information listed. Just below that, you've got your professional summary. It's right there, first thing that they're going to read to really get a good idea of your intentions and get to know a little bit about you as well. Just under that, you've got work experience. So here you've got John here has the showcase of the work or job that he's currently in, as well as some volunteer work that he's done in the past, and as well as, well, guess what? The accomplishments that he was able to achieve while working there or volunteering. And again, it's something that is nice to have to resume. It makes it look really good, and it's definitely eye-catching to those who are looking at your resume. Under that or below, you've got education. Again, education listing some of the schooling that you've done, and right at the end there, we've got skills, technical skills, and here again, showcasing some of the skills that John has that will greatly help benefit the company, things that he's learned from the past or that he has, things that he's good at. And it's the same thing for you. If you got things that you're good at, showcase them, put them on there, because there might be one, two, maybe all of them that can definitely be of great benefit to the new company you're hiring for. Okay, that is also eye-catching to them. Well, this is awesome. I'm glad that we were able to go through these steps and this process, and I hope that you've learned a few tips, a few things to add into what you currently have. Or if you're brand new and you're just starting off at building your resume, I hope that this has helped you, give you some steps on how to build a nice, effective resume. As you can see here, this is pretty clean, precise, to the point, very easy to read and easy to navigate as well. In terms of length of resumes, usually a resume, you'd have everything, all your important points on one page. That's ideal right there to have. But of course, as you're getting more experience, more jobs, and as the years go by, things will change. You'll have to add a few more things onto your resume, and so going into 2 pages is completely fine, as long as everything is clean, precise, and that it's very easy to navigate. All right. Well, I hope that this has helped you, and thanks for watching, and we will see you very, very soon.